presents to you the most unique show in sports.
I'm going to say something now that some may take as a hot take, and I don't really care because I know that I'm right.
A show so staggeringly awesome and unapologetically original, you won't know what hit you.
Do you ever just get down on your knees and thank God that you know me and have access to my dementia?
Featuring the man himself, Nick Kostos.
For anyone else who says, oh, he's exaggerating, he's prisoner of the moment. First off, shut up. This is the National Football League. This is not the Big 12. It's not Pop Warner. An absolute disgrace. An atrocity. An affront. One of the most disgraceful performances that I have ever seen in 35 years watching National Football League football.
This is You Better You Bet, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
What's up, everybody? Happy and merry, phenomenal Football Friday to you and yours. This is You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports, as we bring you the fastest show in all of sports. The show presented today and always by BetMGM. Make it legendary by downloading the BetMGM app and visiting BetMGM.com. And on this Friday morning, the world of sports teeming with excitement. And we're going to get to all the big stories, including for the Baltimore Ravens, Minter is coming. Jesse Minter, the new head coach of the Baltimore Ravens, the former defensive coordinator of the Los Angeles Chargers. I'm going to tell everybody why I really like this hire for Baltimore and why I'm also concerned it's not going to work out for Jesse Minter in Baltimore. I will explain why coming up next hour here on the show. We also, over the course of the next 3 hours, we have a couple fun NBA topics to dig into from last night. How about Joel Embiid, a casual 32-point triple-double as the Sixers upset the Rockets last night in Philadelphia. I bet the Rockets in the game. Losing bet for yours truly. Embiid with the triple-double. We're going to have a conversation. Should we be putting the Philadelphia 76ers, if this is what Embiid's going to be, with the Knicks, the Celtics, and the Pistons atop a wide-open Eastern Conference? We will get into that. And I'm going to tell everybody why the Golden State Warriors need to tank for the rest of the season. Because what we saw last night from Golden State and from Draymond Green, absolutely disgraceful from Draymond. It's over for this era of the Warriors. Time to pull the plug. Time to tank. I'll tell you why in the final hour of the show. How about the guest list today on You Better You Bet? And just like in general, and you have to admit, you the listener, you the viewer, maybe you're new here to us on You Better You Bet on Westwood One Sports. Maybe you're watching the show on YouTube, youtube.com/@the Kostos. Listening on the Odyssey app, on the Westwood One app. Listening on Sirius XM Channel 375, radio stations nationwide, watching the show on Twitch. You have to admit, the guests that we have on the show are spectacular, and today is no different. Joining us today to get you, dear listener, you, dear viewer, set to bet and enjoy Championship Sunday with all the juicy storylines. Westwood One and CBS Sports play-by-play man, Kevin Harlan. He'll be on the call coming up on Sunday of the Rams and the Seahawks on Westwood One. And Kevin's analyst for that game, Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner, will join us as well today on the show. Kevin Harlan, Kurt Warner, and our friend, pro sports bettor Rob Pizzola, with his best bets and handicaps for Championship Sunday in the National Football League, my bets for tonight, and side and total for the games on Championship Sunday. We'll close the show. I will give you my props on the Sunday editions of Countdown to Kickoff and my show on WFAN. The phone number to chime in, 310-840-4910, 310-840-4910. Let's get this YouTube chat rolling, youtube.com/@thekostos. We will read your comments on YouTube throughout the show, so check it out at youtube.com/@thekostos. But we officially begin. Phenomenal Football Friday edition of You Better You Bet with awe and excitement. Because we collectively, you the listener, you the viewer, me, Nick Kostos, we, together, we stand on the precipice of Championship Sunday in the National Football League. And if you, the person watching and listening to the show right now, I am guessing that you are like me in this regard because you're here right now with me and all of us together collectively. I'm guessing that you are like me, that you don't like sports. You love sports. And you don't like the National Football League. You love the National Football League. And if that's true, and I believe it is, then this Sunday, 2 days from now, oh yeah, it means something to you. Championship Sunday in the National Football League is a special day. One of the high holy days on the sports calendar. A day when history is made. A day when stories are told that will live throughout history. Legacies defined. Lore defined. This is what it's all about. And we can look at these four teams playing on Championship Sunday. And we can look at these four teams and the prism of Championship Sunday through these teams and their experiences on Championship Sunday and get a window into how important it is and a window into what it means and why this day is so special and so meaningful. And we could start with the New England Patriots, who have played in 1 billion AFC Championship games. Obviously, the vast majority started by Tom Brady, but we can go back in time. We don't have to start with Tom Brady in 2001, beating Cordell Stewart, Bill Cowher and the Pittsburgh Steelers, Troy Brown punt return touchdown. Drew Bledsoe's got to come in to win the game. No. We can go back to 1985 with the Patriots and the Dolphins in Miami, with the favored Dolphins in that game. Miami having beaten the Chicago Bears earlier that season on a famous Monday Night Football game. And the world felt that we were headed for Dolphins-Bears Part 2, and the Patriots said, no. Go into Miami and win that game, 31-14. Get waxed in the Super Bowl in Super Bowl 20 against Chicago, but forever altering the course of football history. As Dan Marino denied a second consecutive Super Bowl appearance, he would never get back to the big game after losing to the San Francisco 49ers in Super Bowl 19. 0-1, we referenced it. Brady starts the game and everyone forgets Drew Bledsoe had to finish it and lead the Patriots to victory. And I remember telling my dad, leading up to that Super Bowl with the Patriots and the Rams, a.k.a. the Spygate Super Bowl, I remember saying to my late father, I think Bill Belichick's got to start Drew Bledsoe in the game. It's the start of a life of bad predictions by yours truly in the National Football League. We can go to Deflategate against Andrew Luck and the Colts with the Patriots and LeGarrette Blount smoking. See what I did there? The Indianapolis Colts. The comeback against Jacksonville in 2017. Miles Jack, was it or not a legal play? So many great championship Sundays as a result of the New England Patriots. And then we go to New England's opponent, the Denver Broncos, and the illustrious history of this team on Championship Sunday. And we can fast forward to the John Elway era, 1986, with Mike Shanahan calling the plays on offense and Dan Reeves as the head coach. The drive, 98 yards against the Cleveland Browns for the Denver Broncos. We can go to the next year, the fumble at Mile High with Ernest Biner putting the ball on the grass and Denver advancing to another Super Bowl. Of course, the Broncos would lose 3 and 4 years. But yeah, they would get their lick back. They would get it back in 97, going to Pittsburgh and upsetting Bill Cowher, Cordell Stewart, and the Steelers, en route to the first Super Bowl championship in franchise history, the first one for John Elway. This one's for John. Trailing 10-0 in 98 to Bill Parcells, Vinny Testaverde, and the Jets before Richie Anderson put the ball on the ground and Denver scored 23 unanswered. En route to a second consecutive back-to-back Super Bowl win, that one over the Atlanta Falcons and their old head coach, Dan Reeves. And one of the best AFC championship games in modern history, 2015, at home as a dog against Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski and the New England Patriots. Denver emerging victorious on a failed late 2-point try by New England, 20-18, leading to a Broncos win in Super Bowl 50 over Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers. How about the NFC with the Rams? 1999, en route to the Rams Super Bowl championship, the first in franchise history. People forget about this game, a pretty important game in the history of the league, as it turns out, with Kurt Warner hitting Ricky Prohl for the game winner as the Rams barely got by Tony Dungy and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in St. Louis, 11-6. That game was 6-5 towards the end of the game with the Rams and the Buccaneers. 2018, no call on an obvious defensive pass interference as the Rams go into New Orleans and beat Drew Brees and the Saints, denying us a Drew Brees v. Tom Brady Super Bowl because Bill Belichick and the Patriots would shove the Rams and Sean McVay and Jared Goff into a locker and win that Super Bowl 13-3. 2021, McVay v. Shanahan, Tart dropping an interception, and the Rams getting past San Francisco en route to beating the Bengals in Super Bowl 56. And then the Seattle Seahawks. 05, jubilation as Seattle beats Carolina to advance to the franchise's first Super Bowl. And back-to-back epic conference championship games in 13 against the 49ers with Richard Sherman and Michael Crabtree at the ends of that game against Colin Kaepernick, Jim Harbaugh, and San Francisco. And the next year against the Green Bay Packers with the huge comeback. The Brandon Bostic dropped onside kick. Russell Wilson to Jermaine Kearse in overtime as Seattle would advance to a second straight Super Bowl, losing that one to Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. And just from a betting perspective, I had the Niners and the Packers both on the money line in 13 and 14. Both losers for yours truly. You bet on this Friday. Nick Kostos here with you on Westwood One Sports. We don't have to go any further than the 4 teams playing this Sunday to look at how great and how important, how meaningful, and how impactful Championship Sunday can be, and how it can shape the way that we view coaches and quarterbacks and teams and careers, and obviously who can play for and win a world championship. Let's start with the AFC Championship game. Another round in this rivalry, which really heated up, obviously, when Peyton Manning signed in Denver with the Broncos, between the Patriots and the Broncos. New England, as it stands right now at our show sponsor, BetMGM, a 4.5-point road favorite. The total in the game, 42.5. Let's talk injuries. It looks like, not confirmed, but the Broncos might have the services of running back J.K. Dobbins in this game. Remember J.K. Dobbins? Hasn't played in quite some time. And we all thought coming into the year, when the Broncos picked R.J. Harvey in the second round, that this was going to be R.J. Harvey's backfield, and Sean Payton said, nope, J.K. Dobbins is my lead running back. And we might have J.K. Dobbins back on the field for the Broncos on Sunday, a couple limited practices on Wednesday and Thursday. We will see what today's injury report has in store for J.K. Dobbins and the Denver Broncos. And it looks like the Patriots will have Carlton Davis ready to go in this game, clearing concussion protocol, has practiced a couple times. We will see what the final injury report has to hold. By the way, nice little coinky dink here. The Patriots with multiple players all clearing concussion protocol in time for critical playoff games. And this is not me conspiracy theorizing here. I don't blame them. I would do the same thing. And I'm not even insinuating there's any funny business going on. Just that it is a little interesting. And I don't mean that as a criticism. If I were them, I would do the same exact thing. And we can start the handicap of this game and the storylines for this game. There's only one place to start it, and it's with Denver starting quarterback Jarrett Stidham. With Bo Nix out due to injury. And you want to talk about insult after victory. We saw it on full display last Saturday after the Broncos beat the Buffalo Bills, and then Sean Payton an hour after the game. Oh, by the way, our starting quarterback's out for the year. So Jarrett Stidham steps in to start this game for the Denver Broncos, looking to become like Nick Foles in 2017 or Jeff Hostetler in 1990. Backup quarterbacks leading their team to glory. I loved the interview we had yesterday with the whale capper Drew Dinsick, NBC Sports betting analyst, who I think is correct in what he said about Sean Payton and the way Sean Payton's going to view this game. And we kind of know this because Sean Payton is a Bill Parcells disciple. And once upon a time, Bill Parcells coached the Giants to a Super Bowl 25 win with the backup quarterback in Jeff Hostetler. And got up prior to Championship Sunday on the road in San Francisco against the reigning defending two-time Super Bowl champion San Francisco 49ers and said, if we lose this game, it won't be because of Jeff Hostetler. And you know Sean Payton's relaying the same message to his team with Jarrett Stidham set to be the quarterback. I think you will see Sean Payton come out and call maybe the same game that he would have called with Bo Nix. And yes, you lose some of the stuff in the run game with Bo Nix because Jarrett Stidham is not the athlete that Bo Nix is with his legs. But I think you're going to see a similar game plan. I don't think the shackles will be on Jarrett Stidham. This is not the way Sean Payton coaches. Remember, in the Super Bowl against the Indianapolis Colts, how many coaches have the chutzpah, the gall, the grapefruits to call an onside kick coming out of halftime? Shout out to Hank Baskett. And the Saints recover the onside kick, and the rest, as they say, is history. Great Championship Sunday that year, too, with the Saints beating Brett Favre and the Minnesota Vikings in overtime, 31-28. Sean Payton, he may go down in this game, and the Broncos may lose. But I don't think it's going to be because he's ultra-conservative in the way he calls this game. I do think the Broncos can have success on offense in this game. Does that mean I think they're scoring 35 points? No. Or Jarrett Stidham's throwing for 350 yards? I don't think that's going to be the case. But can Stidham play well enough to keep this game close? I think the answer is yes. And for the New England Patriots, what a turnaround. And I know it makes everybody around the country sick, unless you live in the New England area, that a long, hard 7 years have passed since the Patriots' last trip to Championship Sunday. And you can dislike it, and you can not want to see them win, and you can be annoyed that their fans get another generational quarterback perhaps here in Drake May, but you have to give this organization credit. And you have to give Bob Kraft, Robert Kraft, the owner of the team, credit for acknowledging the mistake with Gerard Mayo and firing Mayo after 1 year and hiring Mike Vrabel and bringing back Josh McDaniels to call the offense. Because while McDaniels might be a brutal head coach, and he is a tremendous offensive coordinator and play caller. So they got it right at head coach. They got it right with the offensive coordinator. They obviously got it right with the quarterback. And this offseason, with a ton of money to spend, and people say you can't build a winning team through free agency, the Patriots are kind of spitting on that notion right now. With the signing of Milton Williams, and here's Harold Landry, and Spillane, and Carlton Davis, and Stephon Diggs. Look at what they were able to do this offseason, the New England Patriots. It's an unbelievable job of team building and an organizational turnaround, and you have to give them credit, even if you don't want to. And now, Drake May has the opportunity to really step into the shoes once worn by the legendary, the GOAT, Tom Brady, and lead the Patriots to a Super Bowl in his second year in the NFL. And I think that's going to be what happens. Drake May is too damn good. And you know this if you've been watching or listening to the show for any period of time. And if you're new, thank you. Allow me to introduce myself if you're new to this. My name is Nick Kostos. And I've been telling you since last year that we love the Drake and that Drake May is an absolute stud. And when it comes down to it, the best young quarterback in the NFL, it's gonna be May. And look last week against the Houston Texans, one of the best defenses in the league. And yes, C.J. Stroud's terrible in the game, but Drake May makes a couple fantastic, and yeah, he put the ball on the ground a couple times. Looked like Dave Craig once upon a time for the Seattle Seahawks, putting the ball on the ground, but had a couple great throws to help win that game. The fourth down strike on the first drive to Pop Douglas, who races into the end zone. The strike to Stephon Diggs. How many quarterbacks can make that throw? Drake May is one of them. Even the great one-handed catch by Kayshawn Booty, rocking everywhere, is a great throw by Drake May to beat Derek Stingley, just like May and Booty did the year before to beat Derek Stingley in Drake May's first NFL action in a Patriots-Texans game. So yes, the Broncos' defense is really good. It is a good defense. You don't think Drake May can have success against this defense? I think we've already reached the point where you can make the case that Drake May is good enough to have success against any team and any defense. And to the people that want to say, well, Patriots haven't beaten anyone all season, lucky team. Yeah, you're right. They are extraordinarily lucky. They are. Also, Drake May is stupendous. And he'll be the difference in the game. I'm thinking Patriots 24, Broncos 20. Denver to cover the spread, Patriots to win the game, and we go over the total. And a tip of the cap from me to our friend, the whale capper, Drew Dinsick, because he talked about the over yesterday, and I absolutely loved his handicap. So if and when that bet wins, the glory to him. And if it loses, I will also blame him in true Nick Kostos fashion. I'm kidding. I make the bet with my own money, and I live with the consequences no matter what happens. So I do like the over in the game. I do think it will be a good AFC Championship game. But when it comes down to it, just like we saw in 2001 with Brady and New England going on the road and winning that AFC Championship game, I think Drake May and the Patriots go into Denver and win and advance to Super Bowl 60. We're just getting rolling here on a phenomenal Football Friday. Kevin Harlan still to come. Kurt Warner still to come. Pro Sports bettor Rob Pizzola still to come. But on the other side, my preview and storylines for the NFC Championship game with the Seahawks and the Rams in Seattle. You better, you bet. Westwood One Sports with Nick Kostos on a Friday, presented by BetMGM.
It's Rashid Shaheed. With the seam, Shaheed breaks through. Still going. A flag flies. Shaheed's going to take it all the way. Let's see if it stands. Mavis from 42 online, and it's good. And the Los Angeles Rams go to the championship game.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports.
Fox Sports and NBC, courtesy of the highlights, setting up. It's be an epic NFC Championship game on Sunday afternoon in the Pacific Northwest. You can certainly make the arguments, and the Eagles were my team all season, and I was clearly wrong about that in the NFC. Clearly was wrong about that with the Eagles losing to the Niners on Wild Card Weekend. But there are many people, and you can argue that they're smarter than me, as it turned out, that these were the two best teams in football this season, regardless of conference. And that this is not just the NFC Championship game on Sunday, but this could be Super Bowl 60. That the winner of this game, with the Rams and the Seahawks, will win the Super Bowl and lift the Lombardi Trophy. How awesome is that? At BetMGM, the Seattle Seahawks, in between a 2.5 and a 3-point home favorite against the Rams. 46.5 is the total. That total has come down over the course of the week. So Seattle, not quite to 3, but more than a 2.5-point favorite, where if you want to lay 2.5 with Seattle, you're going to have to pay a little bit to make that bet on the Seattle Seahawks. Injury-wise, Zach Charbonnet is out for the season for the Seahawks with a torn ACL. Some people think that doesn't matter because Kenneth Walker's awesome, and I do think Kenneth Walker's awesome. I do like Charbonnet as a short yardage back. I do think that this matters a little bit for Seattle. Not a lot, but I do think it matters. Sam Darnold limited in practice, but is expected to play. Obviously, the Seahawks would not be favored if Drew Lock were starting at quarterback. And the Seahawks might not have left tackle Charles Cross in this game, which obviously is a huge deal if he doesn't play. Didn't practice on Wednesday or Thursday. For the Rams, defensive lineman Byron Young didn't practice on Wednesday or Thursday. The Rams have said this is precautionary. We'll learn more today on the final injury report for the LA Rams. I have a pretty subjective handicap of this game. And, if people out there, listeners and viewers, if you wanted to disagree with me on this one, I don't really know if there's much I could say to really shake you from your strong opinion on the game. And it's the conversation that I had yesterday with Brian Baldinger on the show. So yesterday, the great Brian Baldinger, Odyssey Sports NFL Insider, one of the most respected NFL voices, analysts ever, comes on the show and he picks the Seahawks to win the game. A perfectly reasonable opinion. Seattle's favored in the game. Seattle's coming off the demolition last week at home over the San Francisco 49ers. And then I asked Baldy a question. I said, what happens if the LA Rams play an A-plus game on Sunday? And Baldy said, I think the Rams will win. To be clear, the Rams have played nothing close to an A-plus game thus far this postseason. Barely beating the Panthers in Carolina on Wild Card Weekend, which is pretty disgraceful if you think about it. The Rams are way better than the Panthers. Carolina went 8-9 in the regular season, and the Rams barely beat them in Carolina Wild Card Weekend. And last week, the Rams beat the Bears, obviously. But you know who felt like they didn't play well and coach well in the game? Their head coach, Sean McVay. Because after they won, not after they lost, they won. And Sean McVay strides up to the post-game podium and he says, I didn't put us in a position to win. And they won the game. And he still feels that way. So in my estimation, you got probably a D Rams game on Wild Card Weekend. And then, let's be honest. What would you grade the Rams' performance last week against the Bears? C+? B- at absolute best for the LA Rams. And yet here they are on Championship Sunday. Look, I acknowledge, if like many people do to Roman Reigns, one's in the air. My tribal chief. You bet on this Friday. If the Rams play and coach like they did against the Bears, play and coach like they did against the Panthers, they are going to get obliterated by the Seahawks. Like, I don't think the game's going to be close. Seattle will win by double digits if the Rams play and coach like they did against Chicago or against Carolina. What I will bet on is an A or A-plus game from Sean McVay, Matthew Stafford, and the Rams. And I can be wrong about this, right? It's my money. It's how I'm going to bet the game. I have felt like the Rams are better than Seattle all season. I bet them in the 2 regular season games, and we didn't necessarily go great. When it comes down to it, I trust Matthew Stafford way more than I trust Sam Darnold. Way more than I trust Sam Darnold. And in that game that the Rams lost on Thursday night towards the end of the regular season in Seattle, the Rams were the better team in that game. And whether you're a huge Seahawks fan or a Seahawks futures bettor, I don't even know what the argument to the contrary is there. It's a weird game where the Rams don't have their healthy offensive line and they don't have Devontae Adams in the game, and you have a strange sequence of events culminating in the ridiculous Zach Charbonnet 2-point conversion that put Seattle over the finish line to win that game and eventually put them in position to claim the NFC West and home field advantage and thus hosting this game on Championship Sunday against the Rams. I think the Rams are better. I know Stafford's better than Darnold. And even if I think Mike Macdonald is a A-plus defensive coach, Sean McVay is an A-plus offensive coach. And I trust the Rams. I trust Stafford, and I trust McVay to deliver in a big spot. Give me the LA Rams to go into Seattle and win on Sunday, setting up a Super Bowl 36 rematch and setting up a Super Bowl 53 rematch. Patriots v. Rams, Sunday, February the 8th, in the Bay Area. On the other side, the guy who will be doing play-by-play for the game on Westwood One Sports on national radio, the legendary Kevin Harlan, will join the show to preview the Rams and the Seahawks and talk Championship Sunday with me, Nick Kostos, and you, dear listener and dear viewer. You better you bet, Westwood One Sports, presented by BetMGM.
Shotgun snap, goes back four-man rush. He's chased, he's flushed, he's all the way back to the 40. He's backpedaling and throws a pass into the end zone. Caught! Touchdown! Touchdown! Chicago has caught a touchdown pass with Cole Kmet open in the corner. If you hadn't seen it, you would not believe it.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports.
Oh, man, if that doesn't get your juices flowing, if that doesn't get you ready for Championship Sunday, what the hell are you doing here? My daughter right now is 20 months old. She's probably watching like Sesame Street or Miss Rachel or Baby First. Underrated cable channel for children, Baby First, by the way. Go do that instead. If that doesn't get you ready and juiced up and jazzed up for Championship Sunday. That voice you hear coming back from break on Westwood One Sports, that of the legendary, the dulcet tones of the great Kevin Harlan. He will join us on this show in just a moment, but we got to tell you about our show sponsor briefly at BetMGM, because today, BetMGM players will receive a college basketball odds boost token. To use the token, add a college basketball wager to your bet slip and activate the token. If you win your wager that was made with the token, you'll receive extra winnings and unrestricted bonus dollars. Download the BetMGM app today. The GOAT, Kevin Harlan, joins us right now on the phone. He will be on the call coming up on Sunday afternoon in Seattle, along with the great Kurt Warner, who will join us later today on the show, and my friend Ross Tucker, Westwood One Sports coverage of the NFC Championship game. Kevin, it's Nick Kostos, You Better You Bet, Westwood One Sports. Welcome to the show. How you feeling on this Friday?
I'm doing well. Good morning, Nick. Great to be on. I did the Lakers and Clippers last night. Now headed to the airport and going to go to Chicago here for my grandson's birthday, then fly back out to Seattle tomorrow and get ready for what I think is going to be a terrific game with two teams that really know each other. This is one of the benefits of having a strong division. You're going to have a lot of crossover, and certainly we've had that. And last week we know that the Seahawks made pretty quick order of the Niners. Now can they do it 2 weeks in a row against a team that knows them intimately well? You know, the Rams will be ready for this. They'll be ready for the noise. They know what to expect. Can they force Darnold into some turnovers? Can they force some issues on their offense, now down one of their top two running backs on the Seattle side, or can the Seahawks continue this ride? Seattle may be the best team in the NFL, but the Rams have shown an incredible resilience 2 consecutive weeks on the road, a long way from Southern California, and they've really answered the bell. They've answered what it may not have been the numbers you expect, but it's been the numbers that have worked that have given them this chance to go to the Super Bowl.
Kevin, you're the best, man. So that you give us an A-plus preview coming up of Rams Seahawks just now. And despite that preview, which was great, and we'll do a little more of it coming up in this interview, I feel like every time, I feel like sincerely, every time that I have you on the show, and you've been generous enough to join, last year from Radio Row was absolutely legendary.
Yes,
I don't know how we can just skate by. Like, your travel schedule is insane. Like, just like the way you casually said that, right? Like, okay, last night I'm in Los Angeles. The Clippers beat the Lakers last night, right? You're on the call of that game. Flying to Chicago for your grandson's birthday, and then to Seattle on Sunday. And this is not just like something like that you do one weekend out of the year. Your travel schedule is insane. How the hell do you do this?
Well, understanding wife for 39 years and a lot of blessings off the air. And so fortunate to have friends like you, be with Westwood One, have a chance to call these games. When you enjoy what you do, like you do, and you have a great passion for it, I can hear it in your voice every time we have you on Monday night, and hearing you this morning and seeing you in person, watching your show on YouTube and X. I see a person kind of like me that feels very grateful that you have a chance to be a part of big events, fun events, things people really enjoy, and that is probably the best formula I could give anyone, and tell our kids too. If you can wake up in the morning and find something you enjoy doing, it sure makes life easier. And that's kind of the position I'm in right now. So I get the greatness last night of we had Kawhi playing, we had LeBron playing, A great night from Harden and Doncic. I mean, like, what more could any fan of any sport want but, to watch those possible four Hall of Famers on the floor at the same time in a rivalry of two teams in the same city, and then and they get a chance to go spend time with family and then go watch this great game Sunday. So I feel really lucky, and that's what kind of keeps me going. I'm sure I can say the same about you, a 20-month-old, and I think you told us about this on Radio Row, what it was like being a dad and all the excitement that has brought your life. So thrilled for what you're doing. Glad we're part of the same family, by the way, on Westwood One, and glad we can cover these wonderful events together.
I think that instead of the check being in the mail, I may hand you one when I see you on Radio Row, because that was you're just the best man. Now one thing that you're like 100% right about. Like I appreciate what you said. It is true. I love this job. And I love this field, right? And I've been doing this. Now, I'm younger than you, obviously, but, I've been doing this since I was 18 in 2001 as a freshman at Fordham, right? And I remember sitting in with Bob Aarons, who was one of my, and Marty Glickman, like the legendary play-by-play voice, was the mentor of my mentor. And sitting in and learning, and I was not good at play-by-play, or else I would have maybe pursued it, but learning like the basics of play-by-play and the difference between doing a game on radio and television, right? And why radio is so much more intricate because you can't see it, right? So you have to describe everything that's happening in greater detail. And I hear your call of the Caleb Williams to Cole Kmet touchdown last week, right? And I always say to you when we talk, you're the smartest guy in the room because you're not on social media. And I mean that, right? So I don't know if you know this. Maybe you do, Kevin, but that call instantly went viral and everybody absolutely loved it. What was it like calling that play and the emotion that you felt in the aftermath? Like, do you know in that moment, like, I have authored something truly special with what I have just seen? Like, take us through the emotions of the Caleb Williams to Cole Kmet miracle touchdown and how you feel in that moment calling it.
Well, like anything in life, there's got to be, and you go through this, and anybody in the business does. There's a pattern and a kind of a recipe that you use for every play that helps guide you, and being succinct, being as descriptive as possible with the right words, inflection, cadence, pacing, all those things, kind of add up to whatever call you're going to make. So on the top of my score sheet, next to my boards, I put every play, period, any play, period. In other words, every play is important, and any play could be the play. And as we got deeper into the game, you knew that those words meant even more, that you had to keep your focus, like all of us do, have to keep your energy and make sure that you're ready. And the best stuff I've always found is the organic stuff that you don't plan, don't think about, don't anticipate. But if you walk in the same footsteps on each play in terms of setup and things that are important to check in the box, who made the tackle, where the ball, just basic stuff like that, I think it does help you in those big moments. And then you let the emotion take over. If that pattern, if that recipe has guided you through the play, and you've hit your marks, then you can, let the emotional side kind of flush over you, and that's what kind of happened in that one. What I saw is what I said, and anybody can do it. It's a pretty simple way to go through it, but it helps me.
That is not true. That is not true. And I think, and you're very kind when you say that. Very, very few people can do that the way that you can do it. Like, that's very nice of you to say that, but that is absolutely not. You are selling yourself way short to say that.
Well, you're kind. You've always been that way, and I appreciate it. But when you kind of let your mind and your heart combine, that's when hopefully you come up with the right call. And that's the challenge, right? To 160 to 180 plays a game, to have that focus for 4 hours and keep it up. And it was pretty cold in Chicago last week too. It's snow blowing in and wind and everything else, but that kind of adds to it. And we love football, and you're lucky when those moments come across your doorstep, and that was how fortunate we were as a crew last week in Chicago.
It's iconic. It's legendary. It's great stuff. A couple more minutes with Kevin Harlan. He'll be on the call coming up on Sunday of the Rams and the Seahawks nationally on Westwood One, along with Kurt Warner, who will join us later in the show, and my friend Ross Tucker, one of the best of all time. Kevin, last one for you here. Have about a minute to go.
I agree with all that stuff. Those are great guys. Great guys.
I mean, I've known Ross for over 20. I'm so happy. He's such a good guy. Like, obviously off air, he's the best. You gave us a great preview of the game earlier in this interview. We have about a minute to go. What do you think the deciding factor in the game it's not like who does Kevin Harlan think's going to win the game? Just like curious as you prepare for the game, what do you think will be the deciding factor coming up in the NFC Championship game, or could be the deciding factor?
The Rams seem to me, Nick, to be incredibly steady. And the fact that they've done what they've done the past 2 weeks leads me to think that they come in with an incredible amount of confidence. And we know how to get it done attitude. I guess it really comes down to Sam Darnold, quite frankly. The turnovers have been an issue. Will they be an issue? That you cannot turn the ball over in these big games. You just cannot, because a guy like Stafford is like a shark to whale meat, man. He smells it, he sees it, and he'll attack. And they got Nakua, who's as good as there is, and that battle will be good, even though they're not going to go head-to-head, the two receivers, Smith and Jigba against Nakua. But I would say that the turnovers for Darnold, to me, would be at the top of the list, what I'm watching for and what could dictate the game.
Absolutely love it. Final one for you here, maybe like 10 seconds for the answer. I got a big laugh out of the first Monday Night Football broadcast that you did this season, and I do the BetMGM report leading up to it. Did the lion roar at the end throw you off, the BetMGM lion roar, when you came back at the end of the report to take it in like 10 seconds?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, we didn't know, and there it was. I go, oh my, was that Nick, or who the heck was that? And then we had fun with it all Monday. So yeah, we love the roar. We love being your teammate. It's a lot of fun to be on the same team, and so fun to visit with you. Hope we can do it here down the road, going to Super Bowl 60 in Santa Clara.
You're the best, man, and I sincerely appreciate like everything that you said. Sincere, thank you. And we'll see you in Santa Clara. Have a great call.
Great weekend. Thank you, Nick, so much. Great to visit.
It's like what, the greatest guy of all time. I'm not going to say that I would push my grandmother in front of a bus for Kevin Harlan, but I'm also not denying it. Kurt Warner joins us to start hour number 2. How about this show on a Phenomenal Football Friday on Westwood One Sports?
You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos.
Hey, this is Joe Buck, and you have done it. You have found it. You are listening to You Better You Bet. Great decision.
Hi, this is Kevin Harlan of CBS, Westwood One, and TNT, and I'm listening, as you do every day, to You Better You Bet with the most handsome single man in the radio business. A man who, if I was not married for 38 years, I might consider myself the kind of guy that can electrify a listening audience and a crowd of bystanders watching him do what he does so well each and every day. Continue to listen right here on You Better You Bet.
This is You Better You Bet on Westwood One Sports. Brought to you by BetMGM.
The phenomenal Football Friday edition of You Better You Bet rolls on. Nick Kostos, our amazing crew, and you here on Westwood One Sports. Kevin Harlan was unbelievable to end last hour on the show, talking Rams, Seahawks, and also, just to really punch this point home. He's very nonchalant, Kevin Harlan. He's very humble, right? Just goes, called Lakers Clippers last night in LA. No big deal. Gonna fly to Chicago right now for my grandson's birthday. No worries. And then I'm getting on a plane to Seattle to call the NFC Championship game on Westwood One Sports, along with Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner on Sunday. He is absolutely the best. You know who else is the best? Our guest at this time. Legendary NFL quarterback, Hall of Fame quarterback, undefeated on Championship Sunday, by the way. And you can hear our friend Kurt Warner on the call of the Rams and the Seahawks coming up on national radio, Westwood One Sports, on Sunday evening, along with Kevin Harlan, my friend Ross Tucker on the sidelines. Kurt Warner joins us now on the show on social media at Kurt13 Warner. My friend, welcome back to You Better You Bet. Nick Kostos, happy championship weekend in the NFL to you and yours. How's it going?
It's going great. Good to be on with you, and I agree with you. Kevin is the best, hardest working man in the football season, and I guess slips into a little bit of basketball, but he is awesome, and I can't wait to call this game Sunday night with him. I think we've got a tremendous matchup between Seattle and the Rams, so I'm really looking forward to it.
I can't wait for it also. Going to be amazing coming up on national radio, Westwood One, with Kurt and Kevin Warner on Sunday evening. I'd like to start with this, if it's okay, Kurt. And I love the National Football League. It's been my favorite thing since I was little. I've been obsessively watching it since 1990. And I did an opening on just how impactful and meaningful and important and cool Championship Sunday is. And I think about you on Championship Sunday, and I was talking about some of the Rams Championship Sunday games and you guys beating Tampa and Tony Dungy in 1999 en route to you guys beating the Titans in the Super Bowl. You are 3-0 on Championship Sunday. And by the way, that Cardinals-Eagles game was sensational with the comeback you guys had against Donovan McNabb in Philadelphia. What is Kurt Warner's favorite memory of playing on Championship Sunday and the 3 title games you played in?
Oh, man. Great question there, because they're all special. They all mean something, and I often say that the most pressure that you feel is Championship Sunday, because nobody wants to be on the doorstep going home. Nobody remembers who's in a championship game. So you want to win this Sunday and at least have the opportunity to be world champions. And so this is where I believe the pressure lies more than anything else. Favorite memory, I would probably have to say the first one. You mentioned the last one when I was with the Cardinals against the Eagles, where we jumped way out. They came back and took the lead, and then we had a final drive to kind of close that thing out. It was pretty special. But that game against Tampa, my first season, it was a magical season to have won the MVP that year. And then, play against a great defense. There was no defense that was harder for us to compete against and have success against than that Tampa defense. And, they challenged us the whole day. The greatest show on turf scores 11 points in that game. But I think just kind of the way that it ended there just kind of fit the storybook season that we were having, is that Ricky Prohl hadn't caught a touchdown pass all year long. I remember we played a little bit in the very last game of the year against Philly, just to kind of ramp us up for the postseason. And there was a play where he was wide open down the middle of the field. And I threw the ball low and short, so he had to dive for it, and he made a great catch, but he couldn't get in the end zone. So I'm just thinking, oh my gosh, that was a one shot to get Ricky into the end zone. And then lo and behold, a couple weeks later, 6-5 is the score. We're down 4.5 minutes to go. Tampa brings the safety blitz from the left-hand side. And so, just to share a little story. So they were showing that 4-week blitz the play before. And we ended up calling a timeout, right before the snap there. And I had seen the 4-week blitz come in. So Ricky and I were talking to each other as we dialed up the play because we had talked all week. What are we going to do if they bring that safety blitz? What's going to be our adjustment back there? Sometimes we would run a hitch. Sometimes we would run a slant. That week we were talking about running a go route. So we were debating, okay, what do we want to do if they do bring it again? We don't think they're going to bring it again. You showed it to us. But if they do, what do you want to do there? And we said, a hitch is great, a slant's great, but we haven't been doing much offensively. So let's just run the go route and see if we can get them if they happen to bring it. And sure enough, we come out of the timeout and they bring the 4-week blitz again. And Ricky does a great job of getting behind the corner there and makes a great catch in the corner of the end zone. And that's really what pushes us into the end zone, or it pushes us into the Super Bowl. So, that was just special because it was the first one, how it played out, the characters involved, and then knowing that we would go on to win the Super Bowl.
I am sure that your answer to this is going to be that you don't care. And I'm not insinuating that you should care, but I kind of think maybe you should a little bit. Does it ever bother? I know that you're going to say no because you won the Super Bowl, but that touchdown pass to Ricky Proehl is a pretty important play in the history of the league. That propelled you guys on to win the Super Bowl, propelled you towards a Hall of Fame career. And it's not that play is lost to history because people obviously do remember it. But do you ever think why does that play not get talked about more in the great plays in the history of the league? Because I'm here to say, and I'm not just saying this because you're here, I think it absolutely should, given what happened in the aftermath.
Yeah, I think the reason that it's probably overshadowed more than anything was because of how that Super Bowl played out. The great catch by Isaac and weaving his way for the touchdown, and then the tackle by Mike Jones in the Super Bowl. And so I think those two things and the way that season finished overshadows what got us there. If we go to the Super Bowl and maybe, blow out the Titans and have a big win and it's, unceremonious to some degree, then we're probably talking more about how that play was what got us the Super Bowl championship because of, the great Super Bowl that we played in. And as I mentioned, the great plays and the great players in that game. I think it's easy to overlook that play to Ricky because you're talking about those two iconic plays that would ultimately decide Super Bowl 34 as kind of the benchmark plays of that season and how that playoff run, finished out.
Absolutely awesome, man. You bet on this Friday, Westwood One Sports. Kurt Warner, Hall of Fame quarterback, with us. Kurt will be on the call coming up of the Rams and the Seahawks on Sunday on Westwood One Sports with the great Kevin Harlan, my friend Ross Tucker. You do not want to miss it Sunday on national radio. Kevin Harlan and Kurt Warner. Before we get to the Rams and Seahawks, Kurt, I'd love to get your opinion first of the AFC Championship game. And I think you're someone who's uniquely qualified to talk about Jarrett Stidham, right? And it's not apples to apples. And I remember, it was the preseason game when Trent Green got hurt. I remember coming home and putting on ESPN News once upon a time and seeing the Dick Vermeil press conference where he's crying, right, because Trent got hurt, but he's also uber confident in you. And you're the MVP that year, right? So it's not the same thing, but you were a backup quarterback that literally led your team and won the Super Bowl. And Jarrett Stidham has an opportunity to do that now over the course of the next two games. So would love your opinion of the game itself with New England as a road favorite at Denver, but also, the mind of Jarrett Stidham and what he's probably feeling right now and the Broncos as a team are feeling. Your opinions, Kurt, of the AFC Championship game.
Well, first, I think it's a good matchup. I don't think either team is a great team overall. So I know New England is favored, obviously, because they have their starting quarterback who had a great year. But I don't necessarily think they're a great football team, like a team that can't be beat, no matter, who the team is. And then you have to go to Denver. Denver, we all know, has a really good defense that can create havoc. And so, when I look at the big picture, I understand why they're favorites, but I don't think this is a slam dunk by any means in terms of going up there and winning it and punching their ticket to the Super Bowl. And so that's what I love first, is that I think it's a couple evenly matched teams just overall. And then when it comes to Jared, yeah, I think the biggest thing is, there's going to be a lot of pressure because you understand, I should say from one side, there's a lot of pressure because you understand that this team and these guys worked really hard to get to this point. You're so close to a Super Bowl. These opportunities don't come very often. And all eyes are going to be on you. That's probably going to be a big narrative, if this doesn't play out in your favor, that would they have gotten there with Bo Nix? And so it's a tough, situation if you lose because everybody is going to look at Jarrett Stidham. Now, I mean, obviously he could go play a great football game and then maybe that's squashed just a little bit, but I think that question's always going to be there is would Denver have gotten there, with him? So there's pressure from that standpoint. But I also think there's the other side of it, that nobody expects you to win. Nobody expects you to play well. And so if you use that in your favor, there's a way that you go out and go, hey, let's just throw caution to the wind and let's go play and let's trust what I know about myself and the confidence I have in myself. And I'm going to trust what I see and I'm going to rip it. I've got a good defense that can back me up. And, I'm going to go play football because there is no expectation anyways. Everybody's expecting me to lose. Let's go out and attack. And that was one of the big things, like when I played and when I took over for Trent. First, I knew I had a really good team around me and guys that if I made a mistake here and there that could cover for me. But the second thing was, hey, I got one shot to show people what I'm capable of. I'm going to go and do what I've always done. I'm not going to play tentative. I'm not going to worry about making a mistake. I'm going to prove to people that what I know about myself or kind of show them what I already know about myself by going out and playing. And I attacked and I was aggressive. And, my first game, I threw a couple interceptions, but also threw 3 touchdowns and threw for 300 yards and we won that game. And so I think there's two sides to this coin, and it will be very interesting to see how they come out and play this thing in terms of Sean Payton calling plays. Does he stay aggressive? He comes out after Bo gets hurt and he's like, hey, I believe in Stiddy and he's our guy and just wait and watch. Okay, I want to watch and see how you call plays for him early. Do you allow him to play the game? And then the other side with Jarrett Stidham, does he play tense, feeling that pressure, not wanting to make a mistake? Or does he go out there and go, hey, I believe in who I am, and here's my opportunity. Here's my shot to show people what I'm capable of and just sling it around. Even if he makes a mistake or two, does he make more plays than he makes mistakes and gives his team a chance to win? So I'm fascinated by how this is going to play out from a play calling and a playing standpoint from the quarterback perspective.
When you mentioned just like the 99 season, I always think about you guys. I'm a Giants fan. You guys smoked the Giants. That you guys always beat the Giants. Grant Wistrom in 2001, just like brutal as a Giants fan, always going up against Kurt Warner and the St. Louis Rams at the time. So your former team, right? Now in Los Angeles, obviously, in Seattle on Sunday. And Kurt, I said it at the top of the show. I thought the Eagles were going to be the NFC representative in the Super Bowl. Obviously, I was wrong about that. A lot of people have felt all season that these are the two best teams, not just in the NFC, but in the NFL. Yeah. This is going to be an amazing game that you and Kevin Harlan will be on the call of on Sunday in Seattle. The Seahawks are a slight home favorite in the game. We don't know if Charles Cross is going to play for Seattle. Darnold with the oblique injury, obviously. Set the stage for us here, Rams Seahawks, and what Kurt Warner believes may be the deciding factor on Sunday in the NFC Championship game.
Well, I mean, I think we're going to talk a lot about the Rams offense against the Seattle defense. And, that's the matchup, number one scoring offense, number one scoring defense. How does that play out? The pressure packages of Mike McDonald, the physicality of the Seattle defense against, the physical nature of like a Puka Nacua and what they do, the scheming of Sean McVay with the 3 tight end sets, and all of that stuff is going to be awesome. And it's going to be fun to watch that cat and mouse. On that side of the ball, I think it comes down to big plays. And which side makes more big plays? The first game, there wasn't a lot of big plays for the Rams. They were able to get out of there with a victory, but they couldn't put them away. The second game, there was a whole bunch of big plays by the Rams offense. and that's why they had a 2-touchdown lead in the fourth quarter. They just surrendered it with the punt return and all the crazy stuff that happened in that game to lose. But the big plays really catapulted them forward, which Seattle's defense has been really good at preventing. So that, to me, is where I think, the tide is going to shift in this game with that matchup. But I do believe that this game is going to be won or lost, more specifically with the other two units, the Seattle offense against this Rams defense. Who wins that battle? No Zach Charbonnet, I think, is huge. His physicality, his 1-2 punch with Kenneth Walker, I think Seattle's going to miss that. Can Seattle stay in a run-first, play-action, naked bootleg, keep Sam Darnold in that mode of not having to drop back, see the whole field, make those pressure decisions in drop-back mode? In the first game, he was in drop-back mode a lot because they were behind, and he threw 4 interceptions. Second game, he brought him back late in that game more in drop-back mode. But where he's been best in his career is, having a good run game, getting under center, play action, splitting the field in half, pushing the ball down the field, on the move, those kinds of things. And so, whoever can dictate the nature of this game on that, with that matchup, Seattle offense, Rams defense, I think has the best shot to win this game. Can the Rams force it into a drop-back game for Sam Darnold, or can Seattle run the football extremely well against, this Rams defense that has struggled at times against the run, and then play action and get some big plays is another matchup that I'm fascinated by.
Can't wait to see how it plays out. Can't wait to listen, Kurt, to you and Kevin Harlan with Ross Tucker on the call coming up on Sunday on Westwood One Sports, the Seahawks and the Rams in the NFC Championship game. You're the best. Safe travels. Have a great call. We'll see you in Santa Clara.
All right. Sounds great. Take care.
Legendary Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner joining us here on You Better You Bet. I geek out over football history. Kurt talking about the Bucs coverage that they showed, right, leading to the touchdown to Ricky Prohl in the 1999 NFC Championship game. That is the good stuff, man. That is absolutely awesome. So Kevin Harlan and Kurt Warner back-to-back. What more could you ask for on a phenomenal football Friday leading up to Championship Sunday? We'll take a quick break, and coming up next, Minter is coming for Baltimore. We'll talk about the Ravens' hire of Jesse Minter as their next head coach, what it means for the Ravens, and the reason why I'm worried it won't work out here on a Friday with Nick Kostos, presented by BetMGM.
If Tyler Loop makes that field goal, is John Harbaugh still here coaching this team?
For a week.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports.
The voice of Ravens owner, Steve Bisciotti. Yesterday on the show, we were talking about some of these owner press conferences and maybe, owner shouldn't talk. In the wake of Terry Pagula slamming Keon Coleman, right, at the Bills press conference on Wednesday. I don't know, the Steve Bisciotti press conference was pretty funny. He was pretty much in command, didn't say anything really insane. And people could say, wow, like, how could you say that? I don't know, he owns the team. He's telling the truth. He didn't lie. If Loop makes that kick and the Ravens he was firing John Harbaugh, like, basically unless the Ravens won the Super Bowl. I loved that from Steve Bisciotti. And now, Steve Bisciotti, the owner of the Ravens, and general manager Eric DeCosta have made their new hire at head coach. It will be former Chargers defensive coordinator and Jim Harbaugh's defensive coordinator in Michigan when they won the national championship a couple years ago, Jesse Minter. I'm going to break that down in a second. But we have some breaking news that literally came down as we were finishing the Kurt Warner interview. And by the way, I mean, you want a great 80 minutes of sports radio to get you set for Championship Sunday? How about what we gave you to lead the show off? And yes, I think my stuff is really good. I'm biased, but I do think it was great. And then here's Kevin Harlan and here's Kurt Warner back to back. That is awesome. And at the end of the Warner interview, we get this news from a bevy of college football reporters, most notably friend of the show, Brett McMurphy from On3, that the college football playoff will remain at 12 teams next season. So no expansion yet of the college football playoff. I think everyone kind of expects that we'll go to 16 teams at some point, probably in the not-so-distant future. But for next year, we will remain at 12 teams. Brett McMurphy goes on to say, auto bid for the Power 4 championship regardless of ranking, and Notre Dame guaranteed a bid if ranked in the top 12 of the final poll. So what's the translation of that? Duke would be in this year in the college football playoff. So now, like, the conference champion, the Power 4 conference champion is in regardless of ranking. So Duke would have been in, and Notre Dame would have been in as well. So I guess, so Bill and Tyler and just our show crew, what does this mean for the group of five now? Like, is the group of five out? Is the group of five, I think they're still, we're still getting details here. Is the group of five, I'm guessing, is guaranteed one berth moving forward now. So we would have had one group of five team in. So Notre Dame and Duke would have been in. And I want to see what the final ranking is. College football playoff ranking. So this is the final ranking. We need what they were. Guys, let me know what they were prior to the college football playoff. The group of five, who would have been left out as a result of this then, is what we need to know. Who would have been the last team out of the playoff? Is it Miami? Miami would have been in, right, under this? Or maybe Miami would have been the last team out. We'll figure it out. We'll let you know. Maybe Miami would be the last team out. Tyler and Bill are efforting this. This is all breaking news that we're getting in the moment right now here on You Better You Bet. The college football playoff will remain at 12 teams next season. My guess is we'll expand to 16 next year. But 2026, 12 teams. And you know my opinion on this. I think there should be 32 teams in the college football playoff. Give us more teams, more games to watch, more games to bet on. And we'll get more wacky Final Fours like we had this year with Indiana and Oregon and Ole Miss and Miami. Now, Dan Turner, so here we go. So we have it here. The guys are looking this up and getting the information for me. Tyler says it will be all of the Power 4 champions and the one highest ranked group of 6 champion, which will be this year would have been like Tulane, right? Would have been the team in. Notre Dame was 11, so Notre Dame would be in. Miami would have been out. And there's a conversation to be had about the fairness of that, given that Miami would have, obviously went to the national championship game and could have won on the final drive in the final minute of the college football season. But it is what it is. JMU and Miami would have been out under this. The JMU part of it, I don't care about at all. I don't want to see any group of 5 teams in the college football playoff. And you can agree or disagree with that. See ya. I don't care at all. Doesn't matter to me. Miami being out is a different conversation. But look, that was it feels like, may have been like a one-off situation? Maybe, given the stature of those two programs, Notre Dame and Miami, given the fact that they played on the opening weekend of the season in a high-profile game and it came down to the wire, given that Miami had two crushing losses in the middle of the regular season and Notre Dame nuked the competition after losing its first two games to Miami and A&M, setting up, obviously, the decision the committee had to make, putting in Miami over Notre Dame in the final playoff ranking. Maybe we don't get that this season. Or maybe we do. And if we do, we gon' get 16 teams. And I hope that's the case moving forward. You bet on this phenomenal Football Friday. Again, the news, 12 teams is where we will remain in next year's college football playoff. The sound coming back from break. Ravens owner Steve Bisciotti with the decision to fire Coach John Harbaugh. The Ravens have their next head coach, and it is Jesse Minter. And Jesse Minter, and we talked about this with Connor Orr on Tuesday, Connor Orr of Sports Illustrated. And everyone, if you're a big NFL fan, should be following Connor and his work. He has done an incredible job covering the NFL coaching carousel. He's on top of it. He's got outstanding information. And we talked about this with Connor on Tuesday, that Jesse Minter swept the board. Every team with a head coaching vacancy was interested in talking to Jesse Minter. So he was in very high regard. And the news came down yesterday after we went off the air that Jesse Minter declined a second interview with the Cleveland Browns. And I hope that, we have a really smart audience on the show. And we used to say this on the old edition of You Better You Bet. When it comes to sports betting, you should be able to look at a line of a game. Like, let's just say you woke up this morning and the Rams were favored by 3 in Seattle. Like, you should know Sam Darnold's out without us having to tell you that that's the case, right? In the same way that you should know, as a sports fan, I would hope that we educate you enough here on You Better You Bet, that when Jesse Minter is turning down a second interview with an NFL team, like the Brian Windhorst meme. Now, why would he do that? Because he knows he's going to get a better job. Or else you would take the interview, right? This is human nature. It's human psychology 101. So at that point, when the news comes down, Minter declined second interview with Cleveland, he's got a better job. And it's just, when's it going to get announced? And the answer was Baltimore is the job with the Ravens, and the time was last night. By all accounts, Jesse Minter is a exceptionally highly regarded coach who can coach the hell out of defense. And just look what he did at Michigan, helping Jim Harbaugh and the Wolverines. They cheated, but that's okay. And I don't care at all, just saying. To win a national championship, their defense ruled. And the Chargers' defense was sensational this season. And honestly, was better than it had any right to be. And Jesse Minter is a big reason why. Minter is a former Ravens assistant from 2017 to 2020. And I'm sure there's a part of Ravens owner Steve Bisciotti and general manager Eric DeCosta that look at Minter and they're not going to say this. This is my opinion. As kind of like the spiritual successor to Mike Macdonald. Where once upon a time, not that long ago, in a galaxy not so far away, the Ravens decided to keep John Harbaugh and Mike Macdonald goes to Seattle, where he has the Seahawks one game away from a Super Bowl. And I am sure that there is part of the Bisciotti-DaCosta thought process that's thinking, Jesse Minter walked out of the door, and we're not going to let this happen. We're bringing him back, and he's going to be our guy. We're not missing out on the next great defensive coach. We missed out on Macdonald. We're not going to miss out on Minter. So Minter is the head coach in Baltimore. And I'll remain consistent with what I said throughout this process. And it's going to be the same thing that I said about Buffalo with Sean McDermott. It doesn't matter within reason, right? Like if the Ravens hired Rich Kotite, I wouldn't be thrilled. But the Ravens hired a good candidate, right, in Jesse Minter. So I'll remain consistent. As long as it's not John Harbaugh in Baltimore, and it's not Sean McDermott in Buffalo, I'm going to be into the hire. Because you at least now give yourself a % chance that is not 0 to get to the Super Bowl. And you, the listener, you, the viewer, here, You Better You Bet, Westwood One Sports, Nick Kostos presented by BetMGM. You might feel like I'm being a little harsh when I say that. In the history of the NFL, though, We have never seen coach-quarterback pairings be together as long as Harbaugh and Lamar and McDermott and Allen not get to a Super Bowl and get to the Super Bowl. It's never happened in the history of the league. So yeah, like I like this hire because it's not John Harbaugh. And I think John Harbaugh is a great coach, and I'm happy he's the coach of my team. Just that the expiration date had run out. So I already feel better about the Ravens now, heading into next year, than I did at this time last year with John Harbaugh as the coach. And you know Minter's going to get the defense. The defense is going to be really good in Baltimore. And the Ravens should be awesome next year. We'll see who the offensive coordinator is. We'll see what those hires end up being. And if John Harbaugh and Minter are fighting over Ravens assistants. Like, we'll see how this is going to play out. We don't know who's going to call the plays, etc. But you know this Ravens defense is going to be great. And assuming Lamar Jackson plays up to his potential, like the Ravens should be awesome next year and be one of the favorites to win the Super Bowl at BetMGM entering the season. Here's my concern with the Jesse Minter hire. And it would be my concern with anyone that comes to coach the Baltimore Ravens. And I do think the story is a little overblown, but it's worth talking about. I will keep referencing the column from Mike Preston of the Baltimore Sun that ran during Christmas week, which basically said, like, Lamar Jackson is a little I'm paraphrasing, a little lackadaisical, maybe doesn't have the best practice habits. The Ravens practice in the afternoon because Lamar doesn't want to get up early. And look, he's the 2-time MVP quarterback. Like, you can get away with stuff like that, right? And that there may have been a disconnect. No matter what John Harbaugh and Todd Monken and Lamar Jackson say publicly, it does feel like there's fire with the smoke there. That there's some type of disconnect with the coach, the offensive coordinator, and the MVP quarterback. And the report came out, right, that the Ravens were looking for someone to kind of coax the potential back out of Lamar Jackson, to get Lamar back on track here. Now, there's a saying, right, which you can apply to life, your personal life, sports, whatever. You can take an animal to water, but you can't make it drink, right? Which is to say that the Ravens could hire anyone at head coach, right? I think they should have hired Brian Flores, whatever. They hired Jesse Minter. Probably still a good hire, right? And Jesse Minter can do everything in his power to get Lamar Jackson to do the right things and practice the right way, right? If Lamar's not willing to do it, then it may not happen. And again, I want to say this. I think that story is overblown because Lamar Jackson's awesome. And he wasn't healthy this season. And he had the hamstring injury. And yeah, like the season ended poorly. I thought Lamar was fantastic in the final game of the season in Pittsburgh. And I do not think Lamar is even close to the reason that the Ravens lost that game. You think if Jesse Minter were calling the plays for the Ravens defense, they would have lost that game to the Steelers? No way. No way. So I like it. But a lot of this is going to come down to Lamar Jackson. And the problem that Jesse Minter is going to have, and I think it's a great problem, this is Super Bowl or bust, as the good Lord intended. This is not like, Jesse Minter takes the Ravens to 3 AFC championship games and wins 4 divisions over the course of 6 years or whatever, and then they part ways, whatever. Is that a success for the Ravens? No. Because if it were, John Harbaugh would still be the coach of the team. This is Super Bowl or bust. So if Jesse Minter doesn't get the Ravens over the hump and at least gets them to the big game, he's going to lose his job. Now, Minter's going to get this defense coached up. He's proven it with the Chargers and with Michigan. And the Ravens felt strongly enough about him as an assistant that they're bringing him back as the head coach 6 years after he left. What about Lamar Jackson? What about the offense? We're not going to know the answer until the games start in September. I am more than cautiously optimistic in Lamar and the offense. And even if the practice habits aren't great, and I have no idea if they are or they aren't, I'm just saying this is what the report was. If Lamar Jackson stays healthy, there's no way that the Ravens' offense isn't really good. There's no way. And then you marry offense with defense and a new head coach, and it should surprise nobody if the Ravens get over the hump next year and get to the Super Bowl. I told you about 365 days ago when the Ravens lost to Buffalo in the divisional round. And I said the same thing about Buffalo after the Bills lost to Kansas City on Championship Sunday. I'm not going to like either team next year to win the Super Bowl because of the head coach still in charge, right? And the fact that I thought the expiration date had been reached. Now, there's a new coach. And with that comes optimism. Because, yeah, Minter may be coming to Baltimore, but with winter comes spring. And in spring, hope springs eternal. For Lamar Jackson, Ravens bettors, Ravens fans, and the Baltimore Ravens. On the other side, our friend Kenny Henderson will join us, and we will take a trip to Kenny's Corner, the best sound from the day that was in the world of sports and life here. You Better You Bet on Westwood One Sports, presented by BetMGM.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos and the crew. Presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
Welcome back into You Better You Bet. And you're listening right now going, that's not Nick Kostos' voice. That's right. Bill Zimmerman, executive producer of the show, with you. Nick had to step away for just a minute. We're expecting him back here any minute here, but we are still moving the show forward as we go on here on Westwood One Sports. And it is time, as we do each and every day here on You Better You Bet, for Kenny's Corner. We are going to play and respond to the best audio of the day. Our great board op, Kenny Henderson, is with us. So, Kenny, take it away, drop that beat, and tell us what we got up first.
Yes, sir. And we're actually going to start with what I think might be the funniest piece of audio we have played yet on Kenny's Corner. So Michael Irvin, we've seen him on the sidelines this year at the Miami games going nuts, taking his belt off and hitting it on a Gatorade cooler. At one point during the A&M game, he was on all fours on his hands and knees. Just crazy stuff. So a lot of people suspected he may be on something, and here's his response to that.
Wait. First of all, y'all know damn well Coke don't last 5 hours. Y'all know damn well Coke don't last 5 hours. And I hadn't partaken in 20 years. But if you got some 5-hour stuff, let me know.
We all know Michael Irvin has dabbled. He certainly hasn't been shy about that in the past. That is a wild comment from Michael Irvin. But yeah, if there was, Tyler, I don't know if there's some way. I don't know. Is he run? If he is he running into the underneath the stands there between? Because I mean, the energy level that this guy has, he's got to be 50 years old, 55 years old at this point. The energy level he keeps up throughout the whole game is insane.
Yeah, so I was obviously very young when Michael Irvin was playing for the 90s Cowboys, but I'll say the two winners of the college football playoff, well, I'll say three. Fernando Mendoza, Curt Cignetti, and Michael Irvin, because with the stuff he was doing on the sidelines was electric, and even for the national championship game, I don't know who his social media person is. They had a Michael Irvin cam that was basically following him anything he did on the sidelines, which was tremendous content. So Michael Irvin, to me, was the big winner of the college football playoffs, and maybe he was sneaking during the halftime with some of the Miami boosters, doing something under the bleachers. But whatever he was doing was working. Honestly, I want him to do more of it.
Coke don't last 5 hours. How about that? Kenny, what's the next one we got?
So on to the NFL here. Jarrett Stidham set to make the start of his life on Sunday, filling in for Bo Nix. Broncos defensive end John Franklin Myers had this to say in regards to Stidham, and he might have taken a shot at Drake May at the end of the soundbite. Take a listen.
He knows what he's doing. He understands why the coach is calling a certain cause, and that's what makes him so good. Sometimes you get out there, you play football, you run what's called. You're not understanding where you want the ball to go, how fast, when, and everything. And Stiddy, man, he's running the scout team plays, and he's running them better than Dave's starting quarterback. So.
Wow. How about that? I had not heard this piece of audio until Kenny just played it here, so you're getting a first-time reaction to this. I did not know John Franklin Myers said that. He's basically calling Stidham a headier quarterback than Drake May. What do you think of these comments, Tyler?
So Baldy said it. First of all, the comments were pretty crazy heading into the AFC Championship game. But Baldy said it yesterday on the show. Jarrett Stidham was one of the best recruits coming out of high school. He was a big time prospect. So again, doesn't translate to mean you're going to be an amazing NFL player. But he's made starts around the NFL. So I don't think it's going to be much of a disaster. But that is kind of nuts for saying that in the week of the AFC Championship game when you're going against maybe the possible MVP in Drake May. Maybe that's motivation. I have no idea why he would even say that, considering the Patriots are the favorites in this game and they're on their backup quarterback. So, that's kind of nuts. I never heard that too.
Yeah, look, it's nuts. I don't mind it. I don't mind when teams give other teams bulletin board material. I'm going into this game, if the Patriots aren't motivated enough to beat the Broncos, are they real? Oh, well, he took a shot at Drake May. Now we're really going to kick their ass. It's the AFC Championship game. If you're not fired up, Kenny, for that, then I don't see bulletin board material making a major impact.
I think the fact that they call him Stiddy makes me feel better. If I'm a Broncos better, the fact that they call him Stiddy instead of just Stidham, I like that the fact that he's got a nickname. Clearly they believe in him down there in Denver. Ready for the next?
Yeah, let's roll the next one, Kenny. What do you got?
you're gonna like this one, Bill, because it's a Bears clip. It's Ben Johnson. I'm sure you've heard this one a few days ago. So this is from a few days ago of him in the exit interviews talking about the season before, the amazing season that they had, and potentially building off of it going into next year.
There is no building off of this. We go back to square one. We're back at the bottom again, and that's really all 32 teams. If you feel otherwise, you're probably missing the big picture. It's no different. You're trying to lose weight. You're trying to lose 50 pounds. The first 30 is the easiest 30. You know, the last 20, that's the hard part. And so we did a nice job this year, but it's not enough.
You know, as a Bears fan, I can't tell you how much I love Ben Johnson. It is certainly a platonic man crush that I have on this guy. And I say this in the most complimentary way. He is a complete psychopath. This man lives and breathes football. Like, I'll just say this. I actually talked to someone who knows Ben Johnson well, and I said, is he actually even going to enjoy this, even for a day or two? And he says, and this is the quote, he will only because his wife will make him. Like, this is a guy who is never, he's never happy. He's never comfortable with anything. He wants everything to keep getting better and better. He's a psycho. And I think that determination, Tyler, is why I know you're a huge Caleb Williams guy, as am I, but like that partnership with Ben Johnson, this kind of mentality, always having this, it's never good enough, is why I think the Bears actually have this figured out.
Yeah, so Bill, I looked at your eyes during that clip, and listen, I don't know how the feeling was when you first met your wife, but I got to imagine you look the same at your wife as you did during that Ben Johnson clip, because I was just looking at you the whole time. But yeah, I mean, he's amazing. Caleb Williams is awesome. Listen, I'm an Eagles fan. There's not much for me to complain about, but kind of wish I had Ben Johnson as my coach because he's awesome, and I think you guys are going to be great for a long time. And I mean, yeah, that's like it sounds like Coach Speak 101, but like, how do you not want to run through a wall for that guy? Like, he's awesome. So. Shout out to Bears fans. I was really rooting for you guys. I know the loss probably still stings, but you got a good coach. You got probably gonna be good for the next few years here.
Yeah, even like the good, better, best stuff. Like like all the players were like the first couple times he did this, were like, oh god, this is cheesy, and now they're all into it. Kenny, what did you think of Ben Johnson and him as a coach in that cut?
Oh, unbelievable. I barely have words because as a Bears fan being 26 years old, like I have not really seen, of course, Bill, you've seen the 85 Bears, so you understand. I don't understand besides stories. That's all I know about the 85 Bears. So I don't know what a good coach is like. So the experience of Ben Johnson was amazing as a Bears fan. And I'm just so excited for the years to come.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun here. So Kenny, let's do, we should have enough time for one more clip here. What do you got?
Yeah, we got one more, and it was C.J. Stroud from actually a few years ago talking about where he ranks as among quarterbacks as he had an all-time bad performance this past Sunday. Let's take a listen to where he had himself ranked in at top 5 among quarterbacks.
So, look, Final 5. I know what I'm doing, dog. Mahomes, Lamar, myself, Dak.
Joey B.
No, he didn't really play last year. And then Hurts.
All right, so this was after his rookie season?
Yes, this was after his rookie season. So he had a great rookie season, but
Joe
still.
Burrow and Josh Allen aren't in the league.
Right.
Apparently not.
Look, I'm all for confidence. And look, after the rookie year, I probably would have put C.J. Stroud in the top 10, Tyler. But I don't know. That is a wild top 5, even without C.J. Stroud in it.
I mean, he put himself there. Like we were talking about this in the chat the other day. Like Stroud had an awesome rookie year. Like looking back on it, I mean, 23 touchdown passes. The team was 9-6. Like, was it that great? I mean, Jaden Daniels seemed like he had a much better season than him. I know it was awesome, but like, it's hindsight. Like, sheesh, CJ. Like that. I don't know how great that was, but yeah, having himself third without Josh Allen, Joe Burrow is like insanity.
Yeah, look, I'm all for confidence, but yeah, CJ, the little gas him up a little bit too much. Now, I think you can argue he may not even be in the top 20 quarterbacks in the league. This has been a crazy fall from grace for CJ Stroud. All right, that is going to wrap up hour 2 of You Better You Bet. We will be back with the Power Hour in just a few minutes. Stick with us here. We got plenty more to do, including Rob Pizzola and his breakdowns of the championship games coming up on Sunday. This is You Better You Bet. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
Kevin Harlan.
Now, back to You Better You Bet with Nick Kostos on Westwood One Sports.
Bring it up, Kenny. All right, welcome into the final hour of You Better You Bet, the Power Hour here on Westwood One Sports. Bill Zimmerman, executive producer of the show, still with you. Unfortunately, our main man, Nick Kostos, had to go home. He was trying to fight through an illness today, couldn't make it through the whole show. So Nick will be back on Sunday for his championship preview show, 11 to 1 Eastern on Westwood One Sports. But we are going to take you the rest of the way without Mr. Kostos. We've got plenty to do. We had so much great content from earlier the week and earlier today. You've got plenty that you're going to hear here to get you set for Championship Sunday, so don't worry about it. But before we get to some of that content, we want to talk to you about BetMGM, because today BetMGM players will receive an NBA odds boost token. To use the token, add a wager made up of NBA bets to your bet slip and activate the token. If you win your wager that was made with that token, you will receive extra winnings in unrestricted bonus dollars. Make sure you download the BetMGM app today if you haven't, and please always remember to gamble responsibly. So earlier today, Kevin Harlan, who's out in California, out in Los Angeles, last night he was calling Lakers Clippers for Amazon Prime. But before he jumped on a plane to go see his family member for his birthday, Kevin Harlan was nice enough to jump on the phone with Nick Kostos and talk about the NFC and AFC championship games and a whole lot of other stuff. So here is Nick Kostos with Kevin Harlan.
The GOAT, Kevin Harlan, joins us right now on the phone. He will be on the call coming up on Sunday afternoon in Seattle, along with the great Kurt Warner, who will join us later today on the show, and my friend Ross Tucker, Westwood One Sports coverage of the NFC Championship game. Kevin, it's Nick Kostos, You Better You Bet, Westwood One Sports. Welcome to the show. How you feeling on this Friday?
I'm doing well. Good morning, Nick. Great to be on. I did the Lakers and Clippers last night. Now headed to the airport and going to go to Chicago here for my grandson's birthday, then fly back out to Seattle tomorrow and get ready for what I think is going to be a terrific game with two teams that really know each other. This is one of the benefits of having a strong division. You're going to have a lot of crossover, and certainly we've had that. And last week we know that the Seahawks made pretty quick order of the Niners. Now can they do it 2 weeks in a row against a team that knows them intimately well? You know, the Rams will be ready for this. They'll be ready for the noise. They know what to expect. Can they force Darnold into some turnovers? Can they force some issues on their offense, now down one of their top two running backs on the Seattle side, or can the Seahawks continue this ride? Seattle may be the best team in the NFL, but the Rams have shown an incredible resilience 2 consecutive weeks on the road, a long way from Southern California, and they've really answered the bell. They've answered what it may not have been the numbers you expect, but it's been the numbers that have worked that have given them this chance to go to the Super Bowl.
Kevin, you're the best, man. So you give us an A-plus preview coming up of Rams Seahawks just now. And despite that preview, which was great, and we'll do a little more of it coming up in this interview, I feel like every time, because I feel like sincerely, every time that I have you on the show, and you've been generous enough to join, last year from Radio Row was absolutely legendary.
Yes,
You're
yes.
I don't know how we can just skate by. Like, your travel schedule is insane. Like, just like the way you casually said that, right? Like, okay, last night I'm in Los Angeles. I'm called the Clippers beat the Lakers last night, right? You're on the call of that game. Flying to Chicago for your grandson's birthday, and then to Seattle on Sunday. And this is not just like something like that you do one weekend out of the year. Your travel schedule is insane. How the hell do you do this?
Well, understanding wife for 39 years and a lot of blessings off the air. And so fortunate to have friends like you, be with Westwood One, have a chance to call these games when you enjoy what you do, like you do, and you have a great passion for it. I can hear it in your voice every time we have you on Monday night, and hearing you this morning and seeing you in person, watching your show on YouTube and X. I see a person kind of like me that loves, feels very grateful that you have a chance to be a part of big events, fun events, things people really enjoy, and that is probably the best formula I could give anyone, and tell our kids too. Just boy, if you can wake up in the morning and find something you enjoy doing, it sure makes life easier. And that's kind of the position I'm in right now. So I get the greatness last night of we had Kawhi playing, we had LeBron playing, a great night from Harden and Doncic. I mean, like, what more could any fan of any sport want but, to watch those possible four Hall of Famers on the floor at the same time in a rivalry of two teams in the same city, and then and they get a chance to go spend time with family and then go watch this great game Sunday. So I feel really lucky, and that's what kind of keeps me going. I'm sure I can say the same about you, a 20-month-old, and I think you told us about this on Radio Row, what it was like being a dad, and all the excitement that has brought your life. So thrilled for what you're doing. Glad we're part of the same family, by the way, on Westwood One, and glad we can cover these wonderful events together.
I think that instead of the check being in the mail, I may hand you one when I see you on Radio Row, because that was you're just the best man. Now one thing that you're like 100% right about. Like I appreciate what you said. It is true. I love this job. And I love this field, right? And I've been doing this. Now, I'm younger than you, obviously, but, I've been doing this since I was 18 in 2001 as a freshman at Fordham, right? And I remember sitting in with Bob Aarons, who was one of my, and Marty Glickman, like the legendary play-by-play voice, was the mentor of my mentor. And sitting in and learning, and I was not good at play-by-play, or else I would have maybe pursued it, but learning like the basics of play-by-play and the difference between doing a game on radio and television, right? And why radio is so much more intricate because you can't see it, right? So you have to describe everything that's happening in greater detail. And I hear your call of the Caleb Williams to Cole Kmet touchdown last week, right? And I always say to you when we talk, you're the smartest guy in the room because you're not on social media. And I mean that, right? So I don't know if you know this. Maybe you do, Kevin, but that call instantly went viral and everybody absolutely loved it. What was it like calling that play and the emotion that you felt in the aftermath? Like, do you know in that moment, like, I have authored something truly special with what I have just seen? Like, take us through the emotions of the Caleb Williams to Cole Kmet miracle touchdown and how you feel in that moment calling it.
Well, like anything in life, there's got to be, and you go through this, and anybody in the business does. There's a pattern and a kind of a recipe that you use for every play that helps guide you, and being succinct, being as descriptive as possible with the right words, inflection, cadence, pacing, all those things, kind of add up to whatever call you're going to make. So on the top of my score sheet, next to my boards, I put every play, period, any play, period. In other words, every play is important, and any play could be the play. And as we got deeper into the game, you knew that those words meant even more, that you had to keep your focus, like all of us do, have to keep your energy and make sure that you're ready. And the best stuff I've always found is the organic stuff that you don't plan, don't think about, don't anticipate. But if you walk in the same footsteps on each play in terms of setup and things that are important to check in the box, who made the tackle, where the ball, just basic stuff like that, I think it does help you in those big moments. And then you let the emotion take over. If that pattern, if that recipe has guided you through the play and you've hit your marks, then you can, let the emotional side kind of flush over you. And that's what kind of happened in that one. What I saw is what I said, and anybody can do it. It's a pretty simple way to go through it, but it helps me.
That is not true. That is not true. And I think, and you're very kind when you say that. Very, very few people can do that the way that you can do it. That's very nice of you to say that, but that is absolutely not. You are selling yourself way short to say that.
Well, you're kind. You've always been that way, and I appreciate it. But when you kind of let your mind and your heart combine, that's when hopefully you come up with the right call. And that's the challenge, right? To 160 to 180 plays a game, to have that focus for 4 hours and keep it up. And it was pretty cold in Chicago last week too. It's snow blowing in and wind and everything else, but that kind of adds to it. And we love football, and you're lucky when those moments come across your doorstep. And that was how fortunate we were as a crew last week in Chicago.
It's iconic. It's legendary. It's great stuff. A couple more minutes with Kevin Harlan. He'll be on the call coming up on Sunday of the Rams and the Seahawks nationally on Westwood One, along with Kurt Warner, who will join us later in the show, and my friend Ross Tucker, one of the best of all time. Kevin, last one for you here. Have about a minute to go.
I agree with all that stuff. Those are great guys. Great guys.
I mean, I've known Ross for over 20. I'm so happy. He's such a good guy. Obviously off air, he's the best. You gave us a great preview of the game earlier in this interview. We have about a minute to go. What do you think the deciding factor in the game does not who does Kevin Harlan think's going to win the game? Just curious, as you prepare for the game, what do you think will be the deciding factor coming up in the NFC Championship game, or could be the deciding factor?
The Rams seem to me, Nick, to be incredibly steady. And the fact that they've done what they've done the past 2 weeks leads me to think that they come in with an incredible amount of confidence. And we know how to get it done attitude. I guess it really comes down to Sam Darnold, quite frankly. The turnovers have been an issue. Will they be an issue? That you cannot turn the ball over in these big games. You just cannot, because a guy like Stafford is like a shark to whale meat, man. He smells it, he sees it, and he'll attack. And they got Nakua, who's as good as there is, and that battle will be good, even though they're not going to go head-to-head, the two receivers, Smith and Jigba against Nakua. But I would say that the turnovers for Darnold, to me, would be at the top of the list, what I'm watching for and what could dictate the game.
Absolutely love it. Final one for you here, maybe 10 seconds for the answer. I got a big laugh out of the first Monday Night Football broadcast that you did this season, and I do the BetMGM report leading up to it. Did the lion roar at the end throw you off, the BetMGM lion roar, when you came back at the end of the report to take it in 10 seconds?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, we didn't know, and there it was. I go, oh my, was that Nick, or who the heck was that? And then we had fun with it all Monday. So, yeah, we love the roar. We love being your teammate. It's a lot of fun to be on the same team, and so fun to visit with you. Hope we can do it here down the road, going to Super Bowl 60 in Santa Clara.
You're the best, man, and I sincerely appreciate everything that you said. Sincere, thank you. And we'll see you in Santa Clara. Have a great call.
Have a great weekend. Thank you, Nick, so much. Great to visit.
All right, there it is. Kevin Harlan with Nick Kostos earlier today. And I can promise everybody, I know for a fact that Nick Kostos did not pay Kevin Harlan any money to say that many nice things about him during that interview. We've got plenty of great stuff for you the rest of this hour to get you set for Championship Sunday in the NFL. Up next, we're going to have an interview from yesterday that we had with Brian Baldinger. Absolutely fantastic stuff with Baldy, covering all facets of football. That's coming up next on You Better You Bet on Westwood One Sports.
Anderson coming off the edge. May steps into it, takes a shot downfield, and caught for the touchdown, Kayshon Boutte.
Welcome back to You Better You Bet on Westwood One Sports.
Joe Buck on the call there for ESPN as we are getting you set for Championship Sunday. Bill Zimmerman here, sitting in for an ailing Nick Kostos. Nick had to go home, wasn't feeling well. And as we know, the Michael Jordan flu game, he came out at halftime. Terrell Davis's MVP Super Bowl performance, he came out at halftime suffering that migraine. Nick Kostos had to come out at halftime. Now, we love Nick, not giving him too much hard time. Just, he didn't want it bad enough, as Nick likes to tell all of us. Let's keep going on with some of the NFL content we have for you here. Yesterday, we sat down, well, Nick did at least, with Odyssey NFL insider Brian Baldinger. They had a great conversation talking about all these games, talking about coaching. Lots going on here. They talked about the Buffalo Bills press conference in terms with the Keon Coleman situation. Plenty of great content with Brian Baldinger. If you missed it yesterday, you won't want to miss it again. Here's Nick Kostos with Odyssey NFL insider Brian Baldinger.
But joining us right now to start hour number 2, the great Brian Baldinger, Odyssey Sports NFL insider, host of the Best Football Show podcast. You can also catch Baldy on the call tonight on NFL Network, 8 p.m. Eastern, of the American Bowl with Mike Morgan doing play-by-play, Gabriella Cruz on the sideline. This is going to be awesome. 8 p.m. Eastern tonight on NFL Network. Insider calls brought to you by Nationwide for your insurance and financial needs. Nationwide is on your side. What's going on, my friends?
Well, just that, Nick. Thank you for the plug. I got a million notes over here. The American Bowl tonight in Orlando, Florida. It's a beautiful night for football. And I think it's the first Thursday, Nick, that we haven't had football, maybe since, the beginning of September. So if you need a football fix on a Thursday night, tune in tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I just want to be just really honest with you in the audience right now. I think the person in this country that is most acutely aware of the fact that there's no Thursday night football tonight is my wife. Let me tell you something.
Nick, or what?
If I text my wife and say, listen, my friend Baldy's calling the American Bowl tonight, I gotta be locked. I'm sending you the lawyer bills for my divorce. American Bowl coming up 8 o'clock Eastern tonight. There's so much for us to hit. We'll get to both games on Conference Championship Sunday. We'll talk about Jarrett Stidham, the Rams and the Seahawks, Drake May and the Patriots. Let's start, though, with Buffalo. The Bills firing Sean McDermott. Did you like it? Did you not like it? And then what we saw at this press conference and your thoughts on Brandon Beane and Terry Pagula.
Well, there's probably a reason why we don't see a lot of owners in press conferences. We saw Steve Bisciotti last week. That was pretty colorful. We saw Terry Pagula. There's a lot to pick at right there. There's no real reason to bring up Keon Coleman. There's just none. I mean, Keon Coleman helped him win games. He probably helped him not win some games. But to single out a single player like that, there's just no need for it. You can talk about, look, I made a decision here. Brandon Beane is going to be in charge of finding our next coach. It's really the story, all right? Whatever, if you thought Sean McDermott couldn't get you over the hump, that's fine. They just made that decision in Baltimore. They moved on. But if you have to feel like you have to go chapter and verse on every single thought about watching Josh Allen in tears in the locker room, there's just really no need to go into any of that. Josh doesn't want to hear that. Keon Coleman doesn't want to hear it. I just think that it went too far and it wasn't necessary. But, he's the owner. He can do whatever he wants to do. But I didn't think it was necessary. And then, we'll see. The one thing about firing a guy like Sean McDermott, who I have a great deal of respect for, and got to know when he was on Andy Reid's staff and what Andy Reid thought of him way back when, is, all right, you want to fire a guy? I always say this, Nick. It doesn't matter if it's Buffalo, Baltimore, wherever. You want to fire your coach? Fine. Who are you getting? Who's replacing him? And I don't know that they know that yet, which is part of the process. But that's not an easy thing to do.
I want to play devil's advocate with you here. I did this with Herm Edwards on the show earlier this week, right? And look, you know how much I respect you. You've forgotten more about football than I know. But I just want my opinion on this, someone that's watched the league forever. I just think it reaches a point where this would be year 9 if they kept McDermott. The history of the league shows, this is unprecedented. if you're going to be together this long and have never reached a Super Bowl, like you're probably not getting there. And to lose in the way that they did when they were the better team on Saturday, in my estimation, with no Mahomes, no Lamar, no Joe Burrow, if it's me, and I don't have to be right here, this is just my opinion, I would take my chances with literally anybody else to be, within reason, to be the head coach of the team. Because if you know behind door number one is someone that can't get you there, wouldn't you rather take your chances with whoever's behind door number two, even if the floor is lower and maybe you have a bad year? At least you know that you have a better percent chance of getting to the big game. Your thoughts on that thought process that I have, and I think that some other people have as well.
Well, I mean, how many years, Nick, did it take Bill Cowher to win a Super Bowl?
Well, Cowher was the head coach, and different quarterbacks, though, I guess would be my point there.
All right, but it still took them. They still were patient 15 years. You know, he's still a Super Bowl winning coach. It took 15 years. I mean, I understand your point, but just to change for change's sake, they've owned the division 5 out of the last 6 years. It always gets you, a ticket into the dance when you win the division. That's where you got to start. I'm not defending the decision by Terry Pegula. I just don't think in the press conference he had to go that far. But your point is valid. You probably, if you can't do it in 9 years, can you do it in 12 or 15? How much longer you're going to go? I don't have a problem with the decision. I just didn't think it was handled, all that. I think they just said a whole lot more than they needed to be said.
I don't think anyone could dispute that. Who would be, Baldy, and look, I don't know if we know who all the candidates are, but if Brian Baldinger, I think Bills fans might love this man. You should look into this. Brian Baldinger, president of operations, Buffalo Bills. I think Bills fans would rather have you right now than Brandon Beane. Who do you think would be the best hire right now, or at least one of the best hires to coach Buffalo and coach Josh Allen and coach up that defense next season?
Well, I think you have to really look at what Joe Brady has done. He won a national championship at LSU. With Joe Burrow, obviously it was an elite talent, but I don't think they lost a game. And Joe was a big difference coming in there. He really kind of rescued this offense that was struggling 2 years ago and really made it much better. I think you have to talk to Joe Brady. He's a young guy with a good, offensive mind. I think that would be a good starting point. But, there's guys out there right now that I think, if Mike McDaniel could take a job, it looks like he's going to be the coordinator with the Chargers, but I think you should talk to Mike. But I think, to say, okay, Brian Dable, maybe Brian Dable's second chance. He's a little bit better. Maybe he's got a better staff because that was his issue. That's the problem, Nick, is that you can hire any of these guys. They might be qualified, but what is their staff? Like Aaron Kromer just resigned. Aaron Kromer was one of the top 5 offensive line coaches in this league. There's a big reason why James Cook won the rushing title this year. Not to knock James Cook, but what Aaron Kromer is teaching needs to be taught. He's a great coach. You're going to lose that. So, Brian Dable, I think, is a good coach. His staff, you fire Wink Martindale for what? You fire your offensive line coach for what? He made all these staff changes, and I didn't see improvement. And so getting the staff together, the longer you wait, the harder it is to get it together.
Just as a Giants fan, I do not think that would be a great hire for the Buffalo Bills and head coach Brian Dable. You bet on this Thursday. Odyssey Sports NFL insider Brian Baldinger is with us. Baldy will be on the call tonight, NFL Network, the American Bowl at 8 p.m. Eastern. Check it out tonight on NFL Network. What the hell's going on with the Eagles offensive coordinator search, and what do you think it means?
Well, look, if you go back to the search when they fired Doug Peterson, and they were 4-11-1, they missed on every head coach. Brandon Staley, Arthur Smith. They struck on everything. Andy Weidel, who was interviewing for the Atlanta Falcons GM job today, knew Nick Sirianni because he's a Pittsburgh guy, and Nick's, brother was coaching at, down the road in Pittsburgh and knew the family, knew him. And Nick Sirianni was about the 8th guy on the list, and he became a pretty good candidate. So while they might not be hitting all the big names right now, the most important thing is getting the right guy. And I don't think it has a lot to do with what people are speculating. Well, it's about the quarterback. It's about this. They've got talent on that team They've got structure on that organization. They're not afraid to spend money. It's an attractive job. And you might, and they've won a Super Bowl and been to a Super Bowl with that quarterback. And it wasn't because everybody else was great and the quarterback was average. The quarterback's a Super Bowl MVP. He wins a lot of football games, the way that he plays. It's different than Justin Herbert, who doesn't win anything. It's different than Josh Allen, who hasn't won anything yet. It's a different style. And so, all right, like I think they need some new ideas and new innovation. All right, let's find the best guy to do that. And if Mike McDaniel doesn't want the job or somebody else doesn't want it, I don't think it's because it's a bad job.
Why do you think it is?
Why do I think it's a good job?
No, why? So, like you said, you don't think that's why Mike McDaniel doesn't want the job. What would the reason be? And like this is what I said earlier, right? If you're Dable or you're a Mike McDaniel, you obviously want to be a head coach again. I look at the Eagles, they sent Steichen became a head coach, Kellen Moore became a head coach, huge media market, where you do well as the offensive coordinator in Philadelphia next year, like you're probably going to get a head coaching job like in that cycle. So if that's true, and I think it is, why are they bypassing Philadelphia? Like I know how plugged in you, so this is not me putting you on the spot. I think that your information's better than mine. So I'm just asking, like, why do you think that is then that they are bypassing this job in favor of others?
Well, I mean, it could be you'd rather live in Los Angeles in that area than in Philadelphia.
Fair.
Mike McDaniel's got a young family. It could be as simple as that. Where you want to live. I've talked to Kellen Moore and Doug Nussmeier and those guys. And I've talked to, I know the coordinator that just got fired. It's not easy in that market when you're not winning or not playing well. It's not easy. Like they were egging the offense coordinator's house in Philadelphia, because they weren't playing well. Like it's a difficult place to coach. Like Kellen Moore kind of laughed it off, but they were struggling for a while before they won the Super Bowl. He was feeling the heat, it's a different market than a lot of these other places.
I think that's really fair. And like I'm a huge Jalen Hurts fan, and I've been a little surprised by what's happened with McDaniel choosing the Chargers, Dable reportedly choosing the Titans if he doesn't get a head coaching job. I want to ask you about every single coaching vacancy and the ones that have been filled, but at some point we probably have to talk about Conference Championship Sunday because that's pretty interesting also. So let's do that, my friend. Patriots at the Broncos for the AFC Championship. Just like traveling back in time here. Drake May, obviously the quarterback of New England. Jarrett Stidham for the Denver Broncos. Now, Baldy, I know you know this, but once upon a time, a young 7-year-old Nick Kostos watched Jeff Hostetler lead the Giants to Super Bowl glory in Super Bowl 25. The betting market has been into the Denver Broncos the last couple days. The Patriots are favored, but this was 6. Now we're down to 4.5. And I think bettors, Baldy, don't see that huge of a difference. Bo Nix is better than Stidham, but don't see that big of a difference between the two. Where do you come down on that, Nix to Stidham, and what do you think we'll see on Sunday at Mile High for the AFC Championship?
Well, I've known Jarrett Stidham since he came out of Stephenville High School in Texas. He was recruited by Art Briles and, replacing RG3 a couple of years after RG3 left. But, I mean, that was going to keep Baylor in the top 10 program. And then things fell apart for Art Briles there at Baylor, and he traded out. But he was the number one high school recruited quarterback in the country back then. He went to Baylor, stayed in Texas. This guy's been a top-flight quarterback. I mean, Sean Payton watched him as a Raider under Josh McDaniels carve up the San Francisco 49ers in 2022 for 3 touchdowns and 300 yards, and he looked great against the number one defense in football. And Sean took him and played a couple games when he got rid of Russell Wilson. And here's the thing. I think Jarrett Stidham knows how to play the game. I think he'll be fairly poised. But Championship Sunday, Nick, you're seeing the 4th-ranked defense in football. You saw what C.J. Stroud just did against that defense. Like, that secondary is as good as anybody in football. Christian Gonzalez, Marcus Jones, Carlton Davis. They're elite. Craig Woodson. They're an elite group. At some point, no matter what Sean Payton tries to do, from a game plan, from running the football, all the things that you'd want to do to protect and help your quarterback, at some point, he's going to have to make 3, 4, 5 throws to win the game, the way Drake May did last week, even though he didn't play great. But he made the touchdown throw to Stephon Diggs, which was an elite throw, a stick throw, and a great catch, and the one to Kayshon Boutte to put the game on ice. At some point, Jarrett Stidham's either going to make the throws or he's not. And if he can, then Denver can move on to the Super Bowl. And while you mentioned, the Giants' backup quarterback, I mean, it was the same thing with Nick Foles in Philadelphia. He was awful the last 2 games, replacing Carson Wentz. He was terrible on Christmas against the Raiders.
Against the Raiders, yeah.
He was terrible against the Cowboys week 17. But he got better and better to the point where he's a Super Bowl MVP. And he made 10 unbelievable throws to beat the Patriots. So, can he make those throws in big spots? Because the defense isn't giving you a lot. And he's going to have to step up. And we'll see if he can or not. I don't know if the line is right or wrong right now and how they're reading this thing. And if he can make the throws, Denver can move on to the Super Bowl.
Sounds like you think I don't want to put words in your mouth. Sounds like you like New England based on that answer. True, false?
I actually like Denver. I like Denver.
To win the game.
To win the game. Yeah, I like
Tell
Denver.
us why.
I'd like, because I think defensively, I think they're very talented. I don't think we've seen the best of Denver yet. Obviously, the Jaquan McMillan catch, no catch, interception, no interception probably was the difference in the game. But sometimes these things come down to a call in these big moments. But I feel like Denver's defense, we haven't even seen the best of them yet. I think that Jonathan Cooper hasn't done anything in any of these games. Like he needs to wake up. Maybe he will. But I think they have what it takes in order to kind of stifle. Like, I don't think we saw weaknesses on the offense line of the Patriots last week, and that was at home. It's going to be harder. I know Will Anderson's not going to be out there this week, but Nick Bonito he's a piranha out there. His takeoff is as good as anybody's. Like, they've got guys that can rattle Drake May in this game, and it's going to be a tough atmosphere.
I don't know if it was Spencer Brown I think it was Spencer Brown, who was said after the game, and I saw it in the moment, held the you-know-what out of Jonathan Cooper on the play that Allen missed Dawson Knox at the end of regulation. I'm looking at I can't believe they missed that call. That was the one where I would say Jonathan Cooper, maybe we have a different conversation about him if not for that hold that Spencer Brown admitted to. I don't know if we'll close with the Rams Seahawks in a second. I don't know if you're into I love this stuff. No one else has to be, and I mean that sincerely. It's legacy stuff, right? And the history of the league.
Yeah.
Let's say that Sean Payton gets this done, right? Which will be wins the Super Bowl with 2 different teams and has one with the backup quarterback. Now, Parcells did it with the backup quarterback, obviously, with Hostetler. The 86 Giants were the best team in the league that year. And I think you can even say, the year the Saints beat the Colts were big favorites in that Super Bowl. And the Saints beat them in the game by 2 scores. But the Saints, I think, I still think the Vikings were the best team that year, but obviously everything that happened at the end of that game here. Yep. If the Broncos get this done with a backup quarterback, Sean Payton has to ascend to that rarefied air that we reserve for the likes of Belichick, Landry, Noel, Reed.
No, he
that's fair to say, right?
Yeah, no, he takes a big leap. He's already thought about he's got a Hall of Fame quarterback in one organization. He's never had a highly drafted quarterback where he had to develop. That's a whole different game that he's done with Bo Nix. And now if you've got to do it with the backup quarterback to go to another Super Bowl, yeah, I mean, I think it really he makes a big jump personally. And he would get a lot of respect from his idol, Bill Parcells, who he imitates, in my mind, a great deal of time. Inflections, attitude, giving the press a good whipping some days. Yeah. He learned a lot from Bill. It's funny to listen to because I hear Parcells when he talks, and he just knows he just knows how to push those buttons with players, with the media, how to get guys ready. It's a very young offensive team. Receivers, running backs, the whole thing, quarterback now. So it's different. Like when he won in New Orleans, Nick, they led the league in takeaways that year. He got Drew Brees a lot of extra at-bats. They don't lead the league in takeaways. It's been a problem. He's talked about it all season long. Last week they got him, and it helped him get over the hump with Buffalo.
What's so interesting about what you just said about Parcells, we'll close with Rams Seahawks in a second. I think it was Troy Renck. I think he works for the Denver Post, but he's covered the Broncos forever. And he brought up what Peyton said to the locker room in the wake of the Bo Nix injury. And he mentioned that when before the Giants played the Niners in the 1990, which was literally the 35th anniversary of that game was, I think, 2 days ago. I remember watching that game. What Parcells said to the locker room before the Giants on the Matt Barr 42-yard field goal as time expired to win 15-13 to stop the three-peat, that Parcells said, if we lose this game, it's not going to be because of Jeff Hostetler. It's going to be because one of you dumb mother effers does something effing stupid. That's why we're going to lose. And apparently, Peyton said the same thing to the Denver Broncos in a team meeting this week.
Oh, no, I'm telling you. But Parcells has that effect on everybody that's coached with them, been in that room with them, played for them. The stories are nonstop.
It's amazing, and I love this stuff. Rams and the Seahawks for the NFC Championship, Baldy. I and a lot of other people believe that this game is the Super Bowl. Winner of this game will win the Super Bowl. Do you believe that? And who do you think wins on Sunday in the Pacific Northwest? Seattle, a 2.5-point favorite.
Yeah, I think Seattle's the best team. I know they had a miraculous comeback, a couple of weeks ago, down 30-14, came back to win it in overtime. I know all the stuff that's happened. But Seattle, just being around that team, you can feel this rare chemistry that they have for everybody. Now, winning kind of manufactures that a bunch, but I think it's just real. And sometimes these coaches come in and they're just, it happens early in these coaches' career, where they got the team, they've listened to them, they've got the talent. Schneider's done a great job of building that team. I think no matter what Sam Darnold does, if he really just lays an egg, they're not going to overcome that. But even if he makes a mistake here or there, I feel like this team is good enough to overcome it because I think this team feels like they're here in this spot because of Sam, not because everybody else is great. But I feel like they've got all the pieces, receiver, the running back. I knew losing Charbonnet is a big deal, but Kenneth Walker is more than capable of handling the load. I feel like this is a team that is a rare team. I don't know that they can go on a run. I feel like this team this year has been the team to beat.
If the Rams play their A-plus game on Sunday and the Seahawks play their A-plus game, you think Seattle wins?
No, I think the Rams would win if they do that. But I don't.
That's what's so fun, right? That's what's so interesting, right?
You're asking all the right questions. If Matt Stafford, who's seen this defense,
because they haven't been A-plus, right? In the first two playoff games, they were like, you could argue they're lucky to win both of them. But if it feels like if they can put the pedal to the metal, that's what's so fascinating about this, I think.
Yeah. Puka Devontae did very little in that game in Chicago, and they won the game. But Stafford is very difficult to confuse. The only way you really beat Stafford is if you hit Stafford and you really affect them. And they can do that. They're more than capable. Leonard Williams and the whole group out there is elite. But I feel like what Seattle does defensively, which is Mike McDonald had the number one defense in Baltimore. They couldn't win a Super Bowl. They had the number one defense this year. The way he teaches it with the talent that he has, it's very, very tough on a quarterback. But if there's one quarterback that can handle what they throw at you and the receivers that he has, it's the Rams. They're capable of defeating this defense, which is, San Francisco couldn't score a touchdown in the last two games they played.
I have had goosebumps listening to that answer. This is like football nirvana coming up on Sunday. This is going to be the best. Baldy, we love you, man. Can't wait to watch you in the American Bowl tonight on NFL Network. I may DVR it just because I'd like to keep my marriage going. 8 p.m. Eastern tonight with Mike Morgan and Gabriella Cruz. Baldy on the call of the American Bowl. My friend, thank you so much. Enjoy Championship Sunday.
There he is, Odyssey NFL insider Brian Baldinger. Before we get to break, we have some breaking news in the National Football League. And before I tell you exactly what that news is, I'm going to wind the clock back to Monday, January 5th. Well, of course, it was the day after the end of the NFL regular season. Coaches are getting fired left and right. The NFL playoffs are set. A lot of stuff's going on. And maybe you missed this article from Ian Rappaport, where he says NFL teams are doing research on Colts quarterback Phillip Rivers as a potential head coaching candidate. And he said in his article that this has happened the last couple of years, that college and pro teams have been poking around Phillip Rivers and seeing if he might be interested in coaching in the NFL. And he has said no repeatedly. However, He comes back to the league. He has the nice little Cinderella story with the Colts, coming back at 44 years of age. And now ESPN's Adam Schefter is reporting that former Colts quarterback Philip Rivers is interviewing today for the Buffalo Bills head coaching job, a potential opportunity for him to coach last year's MVP, Josh Allen. Fascinating news there with Philip Rivers. It's not the first time a coach comes completely out of left field and gets a head coaching job. That is certainly something to watch if Buffalo tries to do something bold that may turn out to be great or may completely blow up in their face. When we come back, we are going to wrap up the show. The crew is going to give you all our best bets coming up for tonight, whether it's college basketball, NBA, and of course, Championship Sunday. Stick around. This is You Better You Bet on Westwood One Sports. We'll be right back.
This is You Better You Bet, presented by BetMGM on Westwood One Sports.
Welcome back to You Better You Bet. Bill Zimmerman with you, in for an ailing Nick Kostos. He was out on the mound earlier today, laboring out there. Manager comes out. He calls for the righty. I'm coming in here, but this is about a 4-inning save we're going with today. So this is like a 1980s save for yours truly. But we want to wrap it up here with some bets. Before we do, though, we want to make sure that you, the listener, you, the viewer, as Nick Kostos would say, will head on over to BetMGM, and players will receive an NBA Odds Boost token. To use the token, add a wager made up of NBA bets to your bet slip and activate the token. If you win your wager that was made with that token, you will receive extra winnings in unrestricted bonus dollars. So download the BetMGM app today, where you can make it legendary. And please, please, always gamble responsibly. We got a couple minutes left here. So myself, Tyler, and if we've got time, Kenny, we're going to give you our best bets here for the weekend. I'm going to give you my championship bets starting in the NFC. I like the Seahawks -2.5. The Rams just aren't playing well enough for me right now. If I agree with Baldy, I agree with Nick. If they both play their best games, Rams win this one. Rams haven't been playing their best game in over a month. I like the Seahawks here. I will lay low on the total. Broncos +4.5. I really think the Rams are going to win this one. I think this thing's going to get ugly. I like the under here, 42.5. I'll take the Broncos +4.5 because I do think it's going to be close, but I don't think it's going to be one of these fire games with a lot of points. I think this is just going to be kind of Stidham playing game manager. He hasn't thrown an NFL pass in over 2 years. Tyler, I know you've got some basketball bets. What do you got cooking for us?
Yeah, so I got 3 here. Pretty good games for tomorrow. I like Purdue -2.5. Illinois lost one of their starting point guards. Listen, I love Illinois. I think they can win the national championship this year. Lost Kylan Boswell for a month. Kind of a tough spot against the Purdue team that just came off a loss against UCLA. I'm not as bullish as Nick is on Purdue, so I'll take Purdue -2.5. This one hasn't come out yet, the spread yet, but I assume it's to be around 9.5, 10 points. I like Ole Miss on the road against Kentucky. Kentucky's barely winning these games. They've won these last 3 games by 5 or less. Now you have Chris Beard and Ole Miss. A good defensive coach. Team's not good defensively, but in a one-game scenario, Ole Miss is kind of playing for their season right now, so I like Ole Miss +9.5. And Alabama I like as well, -3.5. This might be the return of Charles Bediako, who was an all-SEC defender 3 years ago. In 2023 with Brandon Miller, he might play 1 game only. It's going to be like a crazy scene there in Alabama, so I like them -3.5. We don't even know if he's playing. Don't think Tennessee is going to be able to keep up, and I don't think the market's caught up on how bad Tennessee is. So I like Alabama -3.5. You actually could probably wait on the Alabama game. Tennessee's juiced. Ole Miss, and I like Purdue as well. 3 games for this weekend. Should be fun sports weekend.
Absolutely. It's going to be a great sports weekend. There he is. Tyler nails Morales. He never misses these. So there you go. His best bets in the world of college as he shakes his head in the world of college basketball. Make sure you catch Nick Kostos on Sunday. He'll be back for You Better You Bet's countdown to kickoff, getting you set for the conference championship games. And I'll do my best Nick Kostos impression. This is Bill Zimmerman wishing you minimal sweats, winning bets, and the absolute very best of luck.